Hello,
Hey, Haley,
Ryan.
I love your new office.
Thank you. I'm loving it too. It's a very peaceful, loving little area, and it's just got a good vibe. I
That's wonderful.
I
And
love
you're
it.
going to fill it with things that are meaningful to you.
It has like the wall behind me is my wall, and then we have a wall over here because this is also the office for my dude. So his wall has his things, and so together they come to a point.
And how do you divide the time in between you and the dude in the office?
It happens synchronistically. It just we don't actually say I have the office in the morning, you have in the afternoon. It's just when I'm working, somehow he's either working outside or doesn't leave the office. It just
Oh, good.
happens synchronistically.
Is he a work it guy home? Is he
Yeah.
telecommute?
So he works in tourism and has his own business where he works online, and then he also does city tours. So
Oh,
when he needs to go out and do those, which are about 2, 3 hours, he goes out. But he runs his business from here.
well, he has to be a pretty nice guy to be, a tourist tur- tourism director because, if people uh, they won't recommend him.
He's a really good guy, and he I learn a lot from him. I learn a
Uh,
lot from him. He is younger than me, but it's proof that just like we talk about this so often how much age impacts things and perhaps doesn't impact things. And there's things that he knows, like allows in his soul to be expressed that I'm just like, dude, I'm 45. I'm trying to figure that shit out, and you've already got it.
he's older or younger?
No, he's younger. He's 32.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, age differences matter at times, and at other times, it's insignificant.
You
The
know,
you know, when it matters, it's often a matter of the older one doesn't really want to go out.
we
They
have
want
that where I'm just like, he's
they want
very extroverted and I'm very
yeah,
introverted. And
yeah,
so we'll go out to dinner and he's like, let's go out. And I'm like, no, no,
yeah,
no. Like being at dinner in a restaurant with other people, that's enough social for me.
yeah.
So
And
it's
I have a
interesting.
I have a series I'm watching on Netflix, so leave me alone. Do you get that Netflix down there?
Yeah,
Oh, do you? Yeah. I think it's kind of cool that people all over the world are watching the same programs.
but they're different. You get different shows. So here, Netflix is a little bit different than the US Netflix, and they
Oh,
promote different shows too, and like different shows are available. The same
okay.
with like Amazon Prime. There's certain shows that are available on the US version of Amazon Prime, not on the Mexican version of Prime.
Well, we've been watching Secrets of the River, which is actually in Spanish, so
Yeah.
maybe it'll
Are
be
you
on your.
enjoying that?
Yeah, we are. The TV was acting up last night and wouldn't let us into the last episode, so we're going to try again tonight.
Finish it tonight.
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic. Well,
So
it's been a
before we,
while.
yeah, it has been a while for us, and I miss you. You weren't
Certainly.
feeling well,
No.
and and listen, you got to take care of yourself. Um, you were saying before we started recording that one of the things that happened to you in October was that you were plagiarized.
Hmm.
Um, can you talk about what happened was that right after a session with you, somebody wrote a blog acting as if it was all her words, not your words.
Hmm.
What feelings came up for you?
Initially, it's what the fuck? Like, wait a minute, this is like there's that moment where time stops and you're just like, wait a minute, this is the session we had. This is what I told you what to do.
Yeah, yeah,
This is me answering your question on what you needed help with.
yeah.
And then I was just like, wait, what am I doing wrong that in the session with me, your takeaway was that this was okay? So there's that initial sort of self-introspection where you immediately go like, there's something terribly wrong here. And then it was like, all right, this isn't the first time. And I do believe that my work is reading energy and being a bit of a channel, being a bit of a medium. So how much do I own those words where they're my words?
Exactly. I mean, the thoughts you have are a compilation of things you've read, experiences you've had. And so this person, totally unfair, no ethics involved, but shares the same truths and reaches other people. What's so better?
Right. So there's always, like I said, part of my work is reading energy and giving people the words that they need, because I do believe that I am connecting with their soul and sort of being an interpreter and giving them the words they need to move forward. So I have, previously when people have done this, sometimes the same person, sometimes other people, I've always been like, well, technically they are their words. They're coming from their soul. So this is what they need to move forward. But it was this time where I had a little bird, because I have a client who also reads this blog and was like, every time I read it, I just hear you. And she had said, like, she had once said to me, you need to put a stop to this. You need to say something. I was like, no, 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 no. They're her words, and who owns these words? And it's, if they're getting out there, they're getting out there. If somebody reads them and gets help from her words, fantastic. But just this time, I was just like, oh, enough. And I
Yeah.
think it coincided with a little outburst from my dad that you were involved in too, where I used my voice and, felt very good and very powerful afterwards, where I was just like, oh, perhaps this is also a place where I need to use my voice.
Yeah. And so is she a repeat customer
She
with
is a
you?
repeat customer, and she is, she has done this before. And
And
I
have you
have,
said anything? Are you going to say anything to her?
well, I'm going to. This is why I wanted to talk to you, because I mean, you're an author. You put your words out in the public often in a
Yeah.
different way. And, I would imagine you've experienced similar way of people using your words and not
Well,
really giving credit for where those words came from or the context of those words.
the difference, I think, Haley, is that most of my words are personal storytelling, and it's
Mm.
pretty hard to plagiarize somebody else's story, right? Um, I was one of 7 kids that grew up in Flint, Michigan. I mean, but what are they going to do with that? And anyone who read it was think, that's Brian McNaught. And what she's stealing, and it is stealing. I mean, if she acknowledged you, I acknowledge everybody. I acknowledge where I got this exercise or that. Um, I think it's unfair not to, but so she's stealing, and I'm not sure she's heard it from you that that's how you experience it. But the approach I might take is, I don't, whatever her name is. I after our last session, I read your blog, and it felt very familiar, like like I had just said it.
It's not,
And
it's not the first time for me, because the first time it happened, I read my words in Forbes magazine. And it was the same thing where I was like, I just met with this woman and we were talking about a collaboration. And she was saying, oh, after I speak with you, I'm going to be interviewed by Forbes, and we have all of this backing and all of this publicity and fantastic literature. And I was like, that's fantastic. And so I was super excited. So when she posted, like, oh, published in Forbes, and I read it, I was just like, wait a minute, this is the conversation I had with you.
yeah,
And it was like, I was like, what?
I think that the ego is both our friend, enabling us to do things, like you striking out on your own, leaving Wall Street and taking a chance on this work. But but it also can be a big barricade to our spiritual path.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I sometimes feel, Haley, that I people will say, that I started this corporate training on gay issues, and now I'm sort of been replaced, and no one knows who I am or what I did, and I think that's something that every single person in the world has had to face. I think we've talked about this,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and it gets harder. No, it happens more often as you get older. Um, this feeling of wait, I said that, uh, and it doesn't matter because what I'm sharing with people is undoubtedly a synthesis of what other people have said.
And this is where I also think too, because I am a fan of quantum physics and metaphysics and the consciousness and worm theories and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, it comes back to that question, who owns these words? Are they really mine? Or, was I feeling the consciousness? Was I, putting these words out? So it's like, all right, the words are free. But it is that, all right, the ego is like, well, then if the words are free, I need to get credit for those words because I gave them to you and then you used them. And it's like almost like, all right, then. So now I have to have a chat with the ego and be like, is that really important to us?
Right,
Is
right.
it really important to us? And I think, it's an interesting, for me, it's an interesting path because on one hand, I would like to expand my business. I would like people to hear more about me so that people that resonate with me would know that I'm here and I can work with them. So
Yeah,
my word is important. And that
yeah,
word sort of coming back to me, just like this YouTube, we were talking about sort of the implications of who listens to this and watches our YouTube. Everything I say is my word and it comes back to me. I work very hard that my word comes back to me when positive goes out positively and comes back positively. So there is an ownership or responsibility, accountability in terms of those words came from my mouth,
uh-huh.
my energy
From your soul.
from yeah, they have my signature on them. And so
Yeah,
that, when people read her blog, and I think when people go back and read that Forbes magazine now, they'll be like, that sounds a lot like Haley Evans.
uh-huh.
And is that enough? Is that enough karma? Or do I actually need to be like, listen, put a stop here? What is the lesson?
Yeah, when you talk to her next, and when you talk to the person who wants to collaborate with you, I would share with them your feelings.
Mm,
You're not in an accusatory way. I would just say, it was hard for me to read your blog after we had just talked, and I felt that everything you were saying were my words, but
right,
there's no credit to me, and that was hard. And say the same thing to the woman who was interviewed by Forbes. That was hard for me to see, my thoughts, my words credited to
right.
you. Um, but I don't think you have to say anything more than that was hard. And
Yeah.
if they're good people, they'll stop.
Mm-hmm. They'll
They'll say,
acknowledge.
they'll say, I'm sorry. I really wasn't thinking. Um, you have such great ideas. And you say, thanks. I just would like to have other people out there know that I'm here with these great ideas. It would help me.
Right.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with saying that. I don't think that then we sort of drop it. We don't want to get into, well, I said, you said, she said, right?
Right. And now you're
That those aren't words of love.
trying to
Uh,
keep score.
yeah. And we when we get into those things, we don't sleep well.
No,
You know, we carry that drama with us
it's
to bed.
heavy.
Oh, it is heavy because because we're sensitive souls and things we take seriously are heavy, right? Uh, so, though, Haley, as an example of plagiarism, and I don't know which way this went, in the Tao Te Ching, which is allegedly over 2,500 years old, it says, for everything there is a season.
Mm-hmm.
And a time to rest and a time to, and then it's exactly the same from the Bible. No, for everything there is a season.
Absolutely.
So are two brilliant writers coming up with the same idea, or did one happen to see it in a different place, or did the translator both the Bible and the Tao Te Ching end up using the words that felt right? Because sometimes the examples given in the Tao feel very contemporary.
Mm-hmm.
It talks about factories. There were no factories 2,500 years ago, but the author was using words that Stephen Mitchell was the
Right. And he's known to be like the best, or so far, the best interpreter or translator of the original works into English.
Yeah, but through his eyes.
Through his eyes, through his perspective, his translation.
Yeah. He talks about weapon stockpiling. I thought, I don't think that Lao Tzu was writing.
Thanks for bringing this into today.
Yeah, well, but you know what? It makes it more relevant.
That's sort of the play on words. And, we're in a time right now where words are very important and used and played and turned around.
And what frustrates me, as you know, we have a huge election coming up within a week. What scares me is that people aren't listening to the words.
Mm-hmm.
They're dismissing them as if, he doesn't really mean that.
Yeah, it's not real.
That's not real. And I think, am I hearing the same thing you're hearing? Because I can't understand why a Christian would adhere to that. It's just so not the words of Jesus. But, I can't, I've come to the conclusion, Haley, and this is liberating. I can't do anything about it. Right? I can write a post, but I don't want to write an angry post. I don't want to throw red meat to the, to the tribe. I want it to be a meaningful post for anyone who might, but that wasn't me before, years ago. I'd be out there, very cleverly making my point that they were stupid.
I'm patting yourself on the back because, boy, that was clever.
That was very
Only the smart people are going to get this.
Yes, right. Only smart people read me.
That very much resonates with me because, in October has been sort of this very softening energy where I've just given up fighting. I'm just like, I can't fight.
No.
And, in that there's not weakness in saying I'm not going to fight. It's just the surrender into, I can only change, I can only control the things that are me.
Yeah.
And I'm giving up fighting how other people want to be and how things out there are. I can only control this. And I think with that also is that liberation of just like, all right, now I can focus on what I can actually do.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't read, I get tons and tons every day requests for money from politicians across the country saying this is dire, this is the control of the Senate. All of them saying the same thing, basically. And we've already given as much money as we can. And so I think I can't grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I can't change the outcome of the election. I can vote. I can write things that support my values. You and I can talk about it. But once it's done, it's done. And then the question is, how do I live with the results?
Mm-hmm.
And how do I help others live with the results?
And I would like to ask, where is your faith that perhaps what is happening is meant to happen and it's actually towards the greater good?
Towards the greater good.
The acceptance of faith.
The the plan to immediately send 50,000 immigrants back to their home countries, uh, is totally opposite what Jesus said about welcoming the stranger,
Mm-hmm.
to your home. Uh, Elon Musk believes that, yes, we're going to win and we're going to change everything. And it'll be hard for everybody, not for him, be hard for everybody for a couple of years. And then it'll start working out in the right direction. Well, that's assuming that the next person elected president is going to continue in the same vein. What I think could happen, what good could come out of the election if Trump wins, is that it's going to impact the entire world, Haley, Mexico included, and everybody in the UK, South Africa, wherever, knows that it's going to impact them. So it's a big deal. And is it going to help the world? It could help the world by saying we're getting dangerously close to what happened in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So for the common good, it can be saying that and saying to all the people who vote for him, you have no idea what you've done. And you're poor and you're uneducated and you have to live with the consequences more than I do. Right? And it just confounds me why you would willingly do that. But back to your question, is it possible that the outturn would be for the best if one is looking at the long picture and realizing that people will come to their senses that, this has gone too far. This is just.
Where is your faith in God?
Well, that's a good question, Haley, because it asks the question, to what degree is God involved in the happenings of humans?
Mm-hmm.
If Trump gets elected, did God want that? Right? Is basically what you're asking.
Yeah.
What is my faith that God is leading us on this path? I think that God is presenting me with some challenges for growth. One of them is don't throw red meat. Don't use your gifts unwisely.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to the lessons you've already learned and are true, that you choose to be happy. I wanted to talk with you about that too, the choice to be happy. I sent you this wonderful video that my brother made of Ray and me in our 48 years together, just pictures from the very beginning to where we are now. And I wrote, and I'm writing, that there are people who would say, yeah, for you, that you're happy with what you've got, but I'm in a nursing home, right? And I can't be expected to be happy. It's an institution.
Mm-hmm.
Or my husband just died,
Right.
and I'm alone, and I, there goes my happiness. Well, is that true? Can you not find anything to be happy about? Even the sunrise, or a walk in the woods. And and then I started talking about yes, but yes, I could walk in the woods, but if it rains, it's going to ruin it. Right? Yes, but I I don't disagree that I could make chocolate chip cookies, and love the smell of them in the house. But if they burn, I'm going to be very upset.
Right. If they're too crispy, they're
Yeah,
not soft enough.
they're not what I wanted. Right? Yes, but yes, but yes, but we choose to be happy, and we also choose to say yes, but
Mm-hmm.
right. Where's the exception? What's not right? What could go wrong? Right? Which totally takes us out of the place.
Right.
You
We're no
know,
longer present.
we're in the present, right? I can spend my time right now looking at you on the screen and being so happy we have this friendship and these conversations that stimulate me. Uh, or I could be, yes, but the dog's going to bark, and yes, but,
Maybe somebody, the delivery dude, knows you're on a call, so this is the best time to deliver.
yeah, or um, yes, but this might not be the best one we've ever done, or yes, but yes, but yes, but, and those are daily choices,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not great at it. I'm a drama queen who can come up with all kinds
You
of
love but. You love
yes,
but.
but your book is coming out. Yes, but the editor won't reply to any of my emails.
It,
So we
you know,
make
I
those
think, pardon?
we make those choices every minute of the day.
We do make the choices, and I think, when we're taking in social media and we're taking in the opinions of others, it makes it a lot easier to segue or default into the yes but. And I find myself every time that I am on my phone looking at social media, whether it's news sites, social media, whatever media it is, I find that I leave that worrying more and no longer being present and being like, oh, this is just all going down a
Yeah.
slippery slope and there's no hope. And I have to kind of take a step back and be like, wait a minute, where is your responsibility and accountability in all of this?
And wait a minute, the light just turned green and you're reading your mail and all the cars behind you are not getting
It's
to the
very,
dentist on time.
and I think that's where, the words it's very personal rings true. It doesn't matter really necessarily how much of it's actually, or the media is actually happening to you. It matters more what's happening personally in your world. And so if we bring back the sort of putting the lens on and you and I sort of having this choice to be happy and to reflect with happiness versus somebody who perhaps is going through some stuff, they're entitled to that personal view. But the key word is personal, it's just for them.
Right.
And my happiness is just for me. But I think a big part of that is faith and hope. A big part, because we've been through tough times, we've been through death, we've been through times where it is really hard to even imagine hope, let alone be hope. And the one thing that has always saved me is hope. Even if there's been a tiny light of hope, it has been like, wait, maybe there's something I don't know here. Maybe there's something greater. And if that is God, if that is the Holy Spirit, if that is Source, whatever we call it, authenticity and integrity is really important.
Yes.
So I
And
do
that's love.
believe
And that's love.
and I
All
think
of it. All of it is love.
my happiness is based on love.
Yes. Mine
And so
too.
when I look out there and I'm like, oh, holy, how can there be any good from this? I purposely pull myself back and be like, girl, you are not God.
Uh-huh.
It's not your job to know God's business either. It's your job to know your business and to seek guidance when my business is not clear. And
Haley, go ahead.
I do the words that are used, and I think it's interesting that we're talking about words. I think the words that are used on the greater stage illuminate how many people are using those words at the dinner table.
Are using
Those
loving words?
same words at the dinner table, at like work, in the office. How many people feel that it's not personal? And I
Right.
think to me, when I look at that, and I think it's helpful because I also work with people and help people, is that we do need something. And I hope it's not something worse than what is actually going on now, but we all need our rock bottom when we say, I can't be saying that anymore.
Mhm.
And so I tend to see what's happening in the greater arena as sort of the collective rock bottom. We all have to be looking at this very personally and being like, all right, if I'm not okay with those words on the greater stage, or I'm not okay with that being played on the greater stage, am I authentic and aligned? Absolutely, that's not happening here in my life. Am I looking at, when I go to the grocery store, am I looking at a person that looks like they're from another country or speaks with an accent? Am I looking at them with a sense of, what are you doing here? Or am I looking at them with a sense of, you have equal right to be here just as much as I do?
Right. And if I say hello to you, I may get the biggest smile I've had all day from
Yeah.
some, you
And
know.
I hope that, whether Trump or Kamala Harris is elected, the US policies, whether they're national or international, need more attention. They need more people looking at them and being able to say, wait a minute, what?
I
And
agree.
immigration is a very easy one to look at. We need to be looking at that and being like, wait a minute, what is US's policy on immigration? Why is it okay for US people to travel as they want,
Yeah.
but non-US people aren't allowed to travel as they want? Why
Yeah.
is that okay?
No, we have so much land. We,
So much.
so
And I
we have,
think the question should be, what is the point of borders?
yeah,
Why
no, I
do we
agree with
have these borders? And I think, again, the US right now is this wonderful poster child for these questions that we should all be asking ourselves. When am I using slang that I don't think matters, but really it does matter?
uh-huh. Ray and I, Haley, and I may have told you this before, are going through a really nice period in our relationship. We don't talk politics. It's not like, and we share the same views, but we don't, read the New York Times in the morning and then
Mm.
get into this big discussion about, what Trump said or whatever. But we're spending a lot of time talking to each other, which is lovely. And I'm aware that in my youth, and this is true, I think, for most people, we take for granted what we have because we have to keep going on our patterns in order to get through the day and
Absolutely.
right. Uh, uh, so our partner is great if the wheels move together. If they don't, we think about breaking up, right? Or we have a big argument. I'm not saying that that's what happened with us, but I'm saying I was unconscious of what a wonderful man he was
And
for
a
much of.
wonderful life that you have together. Like how
Yes,
invaluable that is.
totally unconscious until you post. I posted the video my brother made on Facebook, and so many people loved it, cried. Some people said yes, but what about me? Uh, I I'm really happy right now, and I don't think it would have been possible without aging, because
Mhm.
I have more time, right? Uh, but to express to him how incredibly grateful I am for him. And that when I think about it, I get teary, and then he gets teary. But but if ever I say, Ray, let me know when you have a minute to talk, he'll stop what he's doing and say, so what is it? And it's not about, the garden. Well, I might have a question about what he likes or not, but it's mostly about talking as equals about something we share, right? I suggested that we get another cuckoo clock because ours is broken, and I love cuckoo clocks. And so, I started researching and then sent it to him. And he started researching, and we decided, because we don't have a lot of, expendable money, we decided to make it our Christmas present to each other. We found one we liked, ordered it, but that's going to be our Christmas present to each other. And to have that be okay, right? And to do it together and make that decision is really, for me, wonderful. I'm so glad that I'm having this renaissance period of appreciation.
Well, perhaps it's, there is definitely a renaissance, but perhaps it's just a new phase of life. And, the work that you do and the work that Ray does to be more present with love, you're now actually living it. So it's not this renaissance is going to come to an end. This is just life as it is now for you.
Yeah, he does an AA meeting virtually every morning at 9, and it impacts him in a wonderful way.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't drink and haven't for 35 years, but it's the meetings don't appeal to me. I'd rather read something inspiring, or
Mm-hmm.
but it's also something I don't want to take away from him, because as soon as I enter the scene, my voice is heard.
Yeah. I think that, again, it's that choice to be happy, and it's that choice to be present with what you have and just be filled with gratitude that, okay, there's stuff going on out there, but the best that I can do that is to live my fullest happiness and to be the example of happiness, to be the example of authenticity. Like, when I talk about something, I'm actually living it.
Yes. And Haley, on Facebook, and I've been doing Facebook for a long time. I'm too old for Twitter. I don't even know how to do that. But what I have found on Facebook is the more personal I make my comments, the more response I get. I can write what I think is an inspiring 5 paragraphs about something, happiness. But I just wrote about our dog trainer asking me, as I was walking Sebastian with him, during training, he says, "What do you guys do for to be happy? What do you do to?" I said, "We spend our time with each other." And he was a little stunned, and it's the truth. I said, "We're happiest when we're together."
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what we're doing, making the bed, serving up dinner. We're happiest when we're together. Well, Haley, you wouldn't believe the number of people who responded to that post, because they say, "That's true for us too. That's true for us too. We go to bed at 8, but we're together." Right?
Yeah. It's being present with the love and being able to nurture it, and not only accept and surrender into it, but it is that just presence of gratitude of, like, there is no but, there is just what it is, and being comfortable and happy with it.
And not needing new friends. If they come along, great. Right? So much of my youth was spent looking for friends to make, and we had great friends. We had best friends over the years, but then we drift apart.
Yeah.
But what was still there was Ray and me, right? And it took me a while to understand that that was enough.
And I think you raise something really important, which is the connection with human experience. And, this all comes down to humanity and all of us being fully present with humanity and what it means to be human, not what it means to be white or black or gay or straight or blonde,
Yeah.
brown hair. That connection and the personal story it's not because you're Brian with gray hair who's having the story. It's just because you're a human having a human story.
Yeah.
And when we bring it to that level of humanity, we see that if there is love, it will resonate amongst humans. And everybody, regardless of what they look like on the outside, will be able to resonate with it.
Absolutely. I had a friend write on Facebook, you're this thing about just being together. That's true for us straight people too. It's not
But
just
I'm
my
straight, can it apply?
yeah. Uh, it's everybody, who is in an intimate relationship, even with a best friend. Doesn't have to be a partner, can be a best friend that you spend all your time with, right? You can relate to, yeah, I'm happiest when I'm with them.
And I think we have to admit that we're happiest when we're with other people. We're happiest when we're with other people that are open to being in that vulnerable spot of, I'm in the privilege of being with you. We're happiest when we're sharing this and being able to say, oh, yeah, that's also me too.
Uh-huh.
Creates the community. And, I say this to say, perhaps, coming back to the faith in God, coming back into the greater good, the faith in the greater good, perhaps this is more illuminated, not only for you, but for other people now, is because we're also confronted with the paradox of what the other side is too. Where we're being pushed into be more present and choose your happiness without the but.
Yes, and there doesn't need to be a God in order to do that.
There's the God in each one of us. It's recognizing that God is not only present on the outside, but present on the inside.
On the inside, and it's best manifested through love.
Yeah.
Through loving kindness. I had a conversation with a friend about how do we know that God is present and working through us. And I said, easy peasy. I said, it has to be love.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be loving kindness.
And there can't be fear. There's no fear. There's no
to yourself. Because I've been so hard on myself in my life. If I bump into a wall or I, drop something, it's there you go, and I've realized how sad I am that I haven't been nicer to me. Can you relate?
Story. I totally resonate with that. And I grew up where making a mistake was met with anger and aggression. So I've always had that fear of making a mistake, which also is like perfectionism and high achieving. And now I'm in a relationship where there is a much kinder, softer, gentler love. That when I first made a mistake and it wasn't met with the aggression by myself or somebody outside of me, I was like, wait, this is different. And I've actually found myself making more mistakes to see if it's real, to see if that softness is real. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Where I've like sat back and be like, when did I get so clumsy? And I was just saying, I'm like, oh, it's because you're trying to make sure, like, see if this love is really soft or when is that aggression going to come?
Yeah, and so you're clumsy. One of the things for me, I have no sense of direction. I can get lost driving around the block. I swear. Which way did I turn? Where
the left becomes right and the right becomes left.
And I have to laugh with myself about it. Right?
Yeah.
One of the things I'm learning is laugh with yourself, Brian. Laugh with how seriously you take it.
Soften.
Yeah. A friend sent me on Facebook a little clip of a Buddhist monk talking about three truths in life. And the third one was that there are no perfect people. And I wrote back and said, he hasn't met me. You have to laugh with yourself, right? Make jokes all the time about yourself, with yourself, not
Yeah.
at
No
yourself.
fight. Like, let's give up the fight.
Let's find a way in the worst circumstances. As we were told about the prisoners in concentration camps, find a way to find hope.
Mm-hmm.
Find a way to find love. And don't endure what you're going through. Find a way.
Find a way. There is a way.
There is a way.
Always a way.
There is a way. Even if it's looking and seeing that one prisoner is helping somebody else get in bed. That's love.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so you have the privilege of experiencing it. Right. So it's not all, I'm not making light at all, but is it Eli Wiesel, who talked about hope, that's what got many people through the experience was hope. Right? And not hope, yes, but.
Right.
Hope.
Well, I think if there's a yes, but there, you're limiting the hope. You're saying only this much hope.
Right. If you say yes, but you're sabotaging yourself and your happiness.
Yep. It's very interesting times, but I think it's also very loving times too.
Yes. And I think you're going to see an outpouring of that if Trump is elected. I think, half the country who did not want him president is going to be manifesting love to the people in need. I'm not saying to Trump voters, although they're going to be in need. And if they're in need, you respond to that need, right? But an outpouring in the presence of what you consider to be evil, then I think there's a manifestation through God of love to balance the experience.
And I think that we have to be present with that regardless of president, regardless of what's happening out there. We have to be present of love being unconditional, regardless of what an awful person you have been, love is still available. And, I think we get to be able to say and stand in the authenticity of, I love you, but from afar.
Right.
You can sit at my dinner table as long as you're coming with love, with the same definition of love. If we have a difference in love, let's just sit at different dinner tables for now, but it doesn't mean that you don't get to eat where I eat.
Right. Yeah, I think that's probably the purest expression of love is when it's for somebody that you don't really like.
And I think we have that wonderful lesson in front of us right now where, just as much as you and I are talking about love and how we choose happiness and how we're living that happiness of love, I still have to make a conscious effort every single day to make sure that I'm in unconditional love, not in conditional love. And so, taking it all the way back to plagiarism, I still love what this person is trying to do. I still love that they perhaps have a different perspective. I have to find my way to also love myself and be able to be like, all right, my words are of love too. They have equal love meaning as do hers.
Yes. And it's still loving to say, I want you to know how I felt.
My lesson of October is it's still loving to speak.
Yes.
Sometimes silence is loving, and sometimes your words need to come out and they need to be spoken, and they can still be of love. Just
And
choose
they need to be
carefully.
spoken. We need to choose our words,
Yeah.
right? It's so easy to beat the hell out of somebody with our grievances. That
Mm-hmm.
pushes nothing. They put their hands up and defend themselves against what they feel is an attack. But if we choose words that allow them to maintain their dignity and not feel threatened,
That's the
then
best.
then we move forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's going to be, I think, this is the last day of October and we are moving into a new month which has some big days in it. I think my intention for November would be really to soften into unconditional love more and more every day. And, the benefit of having wonderful people like you and a few others that are ahead of me in the life experience is that it teaches me to be present now, not to wait until I'm your age to be able to be like,
That's
now I'm
right.
allowed to enjoy it. Now I'm allowed to
Right.
reflect.
Now is your turn. It's your turn to be your age, who you are, not older.
No.
You know,
And
it's
it's
my turn to be 76, right? And I'm not 22 and I'm not 45 and I'm not 90, right? And I have to discover, all right, what does it mean to be 76? Those slides of Ray and me together and watching the color of both of our hair change.
the wonderful gift that you and Ray, you are an unlimited gift of love. But the gift of this video was very much about that humanity thing of be present with the love that you have today.
Yeah.
And it's being able to almost take a snapshot and be like, this is a moment of love. This is a moment of love.
Yes, yes, yes. And in that, if people want to say, what video? What video? It was an early Christmas present from my brother who put together with music pictures of Ray and me from the very beginning through all
Snapshots of love.
Yeah, it was great. And if you are on Facebook, you can go to my site and see it. But where were we? See, one of the things
We're really having to wrap up because we are at the top of the hour.
Oh, we are. All right.
And Sebastian has been really good.
That's good because I couldn't remember what we were talking.
We're talking about love and going into November with love.
Okay.
More love.
And I look forward to talking with you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks, absolutely. And we'll be on the other side of something.
Oh, yes, we will.
Lots of love to you, and we'll speak soon. Bye.
Bye.